Hello and welcome to My Mom's Basement presented by Barstool Sports. It is Robbie Fox and Clem finally here for the Deadpool and Wolverine preview show. We've made it. It's Deadpool and Wolverine week. We'll be recapping Logan a little bit as well because we've been going through all the X-Men movies on the way to Deadpool and Wolverine. We will be seeing the movie tonight. As we record this, it is Monday, July 22nd. And we're going to the New York City premiere where I believe Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds are going to be there. Like, they're in New York City. So this is real. It feels real. The I don't want to say anxiety, but the jitters, the pre-movie jitters are flowing. And if you're listening on the pod feed, you're like, why do you sound weird? I'm wearing a Deadpool outfit for the show today, and I just can't wear the mask any longer. It's very hot in there. I don't know how Deadpool does it.
It's podcasting time.
Oh, someone gave me a perfect name for you as Wolverine.
What is it?
Didn't they? In the comments, and I forgot it every week. They were like, I can't believe you're missing the opportunity to call Clem whatever.
We have to get this one done for the post-viewing, like the recap pod. We'll have to get that.
We'll have to get that name in there,
so we'll
yeah.
leave it in the comments, and this time I'll tattoo it on myself so we don't forget. But
you're making a lot of tattoo bets recently. You
yes.
got Grimace on the line. You got maybe a Wolverine on the line.
Hey, that's to happen. You're in the content game, Bob. Look what happened. Rob came into us as a sweet little inked virgin, and now he has a whole goddamn sleeve on his arm. But like you said it, Bob, it's coming. We're excited. Someone said it's the end game of the Fox franchises, which would make sense. We've already had the end game of the Spider-Man franchises as well as the end game of the MCU. So low expectations here, right? Just like end game level shit. But by this time, like you said, we're going to see it tonight. We get the preview. So that means when you guys watch it at home, you could come home, or you guys watch it in the theater, you come home, listen to the pod immediately. We'll drop it as soon as we're allowed to. And then we're in the basement just talking about what could be an absolutely massive project for the MCU here. So we have to talk Logan, obviously. We went through all the X-Men. We said we're not doing all the Wolverines because, let's be honest, some of them really stunk.
Yeah.
But this one was like one that a lot of people love. I think Hugh Jackman said it was like the toughest role he had for Wolverine. So we have to do that just to shout out our boy Wolvie before him and Deadpool get into their hijinks together. So very excited about the pod, very excited about the movie, and excited to talk Logan because I think it's some people's favorite X-Men, I believe.
I think, a lot of people would say that. Logan came out at a very interesting time where it was March 2017. It was March 3rd, 2017 was the release date. I got hired by Barstool full-time February 24th, 2017. Wow. And I've said this on the podcast before. For my first few months, especially being full-time, I had movie theater anxiety. There was the whole thing with Riggs almost firing me over seeing Rogue One for the third time. And I just had it in my mind, I cannot be in a movie theater where I miss out on anything. So I did not see Logan in theaters. It's the only X-Men movie, other than like Dark Phoenix, that I actually didn't see in theaters. So I came to it later, heard everyone talking about it, like this is the next Dark Knight. This is one of the greatest superhero movies ever made. Got nominated for an Oscar for Best Adapted Screenplay. It's the only superhero movie to get that at that point. So I was going in with so much hype. I watched it. I thought it was great, but I didn't feel like it lived up to the expectations that I had for it. So I was like coming at it from such a weird, I don't want to crap on this movie because I truly love it. I think it's a great movie. It's like masterfully made and a perfect ending for the character and all of that. But I still, in rewatching it, I don't think it's Dark Knight level. I don't think it's it's hard to say it's not one of the greatest superhero movies ever made because I don't know what you consider that, top 10, top 15, top 25. But it doesn't come to mind for me as one of the best ever.
And it also is coming around. We're talking about it now instead of in a pre-Infinity War Endgame time. Yeah. And also, you might have had New Guardians that might, be better. So it was a different movie for a different time. At that point, maybe. It's almost like you could say it's... Tell me if this is like the fancy art way of saying it here. It might be one of the best superhero films, not movies,
yes.
Right? Where it's
it feels things. Like a film. It has a different vibe, and it carries that very well. Even just the writing, it feels more adult. The rated R helps it a lot. But yeah, I would put so many Batman movies above this, and I know I'm a Batman guy.
Put so many Batman movies.
So many Batman movies would go above this. But like Infinity War, Endgame, Civil War, The Winter Soldier, the first Iron Man, the first Avengers. You're telling me like this is better than all of those? Like I know some people will try to say that. No, and I don't want to be the anti-Logan guy either. Like,
No.
Logan is a truly great movie. I watched it yesterday and I loved it. But I don't want to put it on that level.
I think we're going to come in lower than some of the diehards who have reached out to us.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're a diehard, obviously you love it. I think we're going to come in lower. I don't have it as my number one X-Men movie. I'd say probably have the two like prequel-y versions, like First Class and what's the other one?
Days of Future
Days
Past.
of Future Past. I probably have that above it. We just did all the rewatches. The original 3 X-Men, I think I have to like pick and choose. I will say this though, for me personally, my overarching thoughts of Logan is I think it's a little long for me. I think we could have cut down maybe honestly up to about a half hour worth of stuff, and I still think I would have liked it more. But like you said, it is more of an adult version. It's a fucking gruesome, gnarly version, which I appreciate. And the pace was set for the trailer when you get Johnny Cash hurt, and you're just like, holy fuck, this is going to be awesome.
I'm glad you brought that up because I do think it's one of the best trailers ever made in terms of not ever, but superhero movies.
Superhero,
Still, my favorite's the Dark Knight one, the Joker monologue-y one. Below that, Watchmen, Zack Snyder with Smashing Pumpkins in the background. I like the movie. The trailer is better than the movie. The trailer is amazing. Logan might be right under that. And just the entire the aesthetic of the movie, the fact that they went for like a Western look.
Yeah.
Knocked it out of the park. Like that all pairs together so well. I know Unforgiven was like a big inspiration actually. Let's get into it. Let's get into some of the details about Logan. If you're listening on the podcast feed right now, stay tuned after our Logan recap and Deadpool and Wolverine preview. You're going to get an interview with Aaron Stanford, a.k.a. Pyro, from the X-Men movies and from Deadpool and Wolverine. He's reprising the role. I did the interview via Zoom a little while ago. I've been keeping it because Marvel's like under wraps. They're like, you better not put that out to the embargo. I didn't. I saved it for the embargo. If you're on the video platforms, it'll just be a separate video that'll be up this afternoon. So it'll be up soon.
And you said cool guy, had fun, like enjoyed talking about all that kind of stuff, which you never know with the guy who has that one role, how he's going to handle talking.
That's the thing. I think people on this podcast just want to hear him talk about Pyro. That's the only thing we talked about on this podcast. So I was hoping, trying to be a respectful interviewer, hoping he wouldn't be like, hey, dude, do you want to ask me about any of my other roles?
But he wasn't. Band I'm in,
He was so cool. Talked about things he kept from the set, how his audition went, how he got the role initially. Gave a little insight towards the version of Pyro his portrayal in this movie is going to be. So it's a good one.
He also says whether or not Taylor Swift is in Deadpool.
Yes,
so
stick around for that.
Yeah, maybe that's how we teased the video.
Yeah. Aaron Stanford,
reveals
Kevin Feige would have us expelled from the premiere before we even upload it.
I'm convinced there's a sniper following around every single person that interviews a Marvel actor, and they're like, if this leaks, you're dead.
That's probably why people are crapping on the Secret Service. They got their best people on the Marvel tours.
The mouse pays better than the government, I'm sure.
So Logan, again, credit to the Logan Wikipedia and IMDb trivia page for a lot of the facts I'm reading now. I never want people to claim I'm plagiarizing, so I want to put that out on Front Street. Directed by James Mangold, written by Scott Frank, James Mangold, and Michael Green. The story was by Mangold that they based the screenplay off of. James Mangold did 3:10 to Yuma, which was a huge coming out party for him. Then he did The Wolverine. Very mixed reviews. I would say a mixed movie as well. It's not all bad, but it dives into the same realm a lot of superhero movies do, where the third act becomes a CGI clusterfuck. Everything before the third act I do like, though. Released March 3rd, 2017, 2 hours, 17 minutes. Budget, $97 million, which is pretty low. Days of Future Past was, it's crazy to say low, it's $100 million, but Days of Future Past was more than double that, I believe. It was 240 or something. So they went down, double that for marketing. It's 194, but the movie made $619 million at the box office, $88 million on opening weekend. And at the time of release, it was the third highest grossing rated R movie ever, behind The Matrix Reloaded and Deadpool.
Oh, wow.
So Deadpool actually did kind of kick the door down for, I think, at least Fox to be like, oh, wait a minute. We could do rated R movies and people will come.
Yep. And they have it, a lot of their rated R stuff is a lot of the humor as well. But then it's gore really works.
With Wolverine, too. Perfect. It has a 93 critic score on Rotten Tomatoes, 90 audience score. So pretty much in agreement there.
Can I just say something that triggered me when I was looking at some of these fun facts? And I'm sure you probably saw it and you got triggered.
Which one?
It said, like, when it was released, it had the highest Rotten Tomatoes rating of a superhero movie.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
The Dark Knight. And I said, well, now I have to feel like I'm hating on it when I say,
I know.
Don't you mention those two in the same breath, respectfully to Logan.
I loved.
I'm dressed as fucking Wolverine. He's my favorite.
I was going to say,
superhero
we
of all
love
time.
him. We don't want to be anti. And I know how the Rotten Tomatoes system works.
Yeah.
Whatever, the percentages, but like it just feels wrong. I loved the other day, you just posted, fuck it, here's the opening scene from The Dark Knight.
I don't know what made me.
It was. I watched the whole thing. And I was like, now I kind of want to watch the movie. Mangold returned after the Wolverine because he worked very closely with Jackman, loved the experience he had, and wanted to be able to give him a good send-off. So they worked together on the story and coming up with where it would go. The 3 movies that were inspirations that I found really out of the box: Unforgiven, you kind of get, it's a Western, and that The Wrestler, which, like, you hear that and you're like, that's weird, but when you think about it, you're like, no, it
makes sense.
It's a movie about someone fighting against time and their age. And Little Miss Sunshine, which I guess in just like that it's a road trip type movie.
And it's like the older person and
With the little girl.
And the relationship that, and it's almost like Professor X can almost play Alan Arkin.
I think it is Alan Arkin, yeah.
And then Wolverine could, I don't know. Greg Kinnear's kind of a dick in that, if I remember. I actually like that movie. Little Miss
It is a
Sunshine,
good movie.
Good ass movie right there.
Great Paul Dano role.
Yes.
Where he discovers he's colorblind. Spoilers.
I think that might have been the first time I saw Paul Dano too.
I think so too. He's like a teenager.
Some fucking chops.
He wanted to be a fighter pilot, right?
Yeah, I wanted to be a fighter pilot. So check out Little Miss Sunshine. And what was the other one? Oh, The Wrestler.
The Wrestler, Unforgiven.
Marissa Tomei just.
Oh, yeah.
Just gonna do the blow kiss to him. Aunt May.
Fun fact about The Wrestler: that movie is made by the same guy that made Black Swan. They were originally the same movie. It was going to be about a wrestler that meets a ballerina, and then he split it off into 2 movies.
That's
crazy.
That's not true.
It is. It's
That's
true.
not true.
That's true.
It's a fake fact. I don't know where you read that. It's not. There's no way that's true.
That's true. Look it up. This might be. I wrote might be because I'm not positive. I think it might be the first Marvel movie to feature Marvel Comics and Marvel action figures. The way that the kids are carrying around the Wolverine action figure.
Yeah.
There's X-Men comics, but there was a rule where they said you can't use any real comics. You have to actually make new covers and stuff for this movie to be in universe.
I was wondering why they were so different looking, you know, and they weren't like using the real ones. That makes sense. Just for like, I don't know, the continuity and the canon line or whatever you want to call it. I thought you were going to say the beginning. I don't remember the Marvel intro, and it was all X-Men stuff. I don't remember them having that. So I was like, is this the first time this happened? And I didn't know if they added it in ever since, you know, the deal got done. The deal might have been done before this. My timelines are all messed up. But I didn't know if they added that in, but I think that was already in it.
No, it was in. Yeah, that was in. Funny story about the intro to this movie. I watched it at some point in 2017, and then later on, I think when the pandemic first hit, I was like, all right, I'm in the mood to rewatch Logan. Trent was sitting on the couch next to me, still living with Trent at the time. So I put it on, and we see the opening scene where he gets attacked outside, and it's all the people against the car, and they're shooting him. He's fucking clawing. And there's the moment where he gets shot and then heals a little bit. It's clearly slower than we're used to, but he heals. And Trent turns to me and goes, wait a minute. This guy could just heal after a bullet wound? And I hit pause, and I said, have you not seen the X-Men movies before? And he's like, no, I've never seen a single second of X-Men. So I said, we're not watching Logan tonight. We're watching X-Men 1, and then we're watching X-Men 2, and then we're watching... And I made Trent go through the X-Men catalog with me to get him to Logan.
I am so happy you introduced that man to culture when you guys were living together, and he's better for it now that you guys are no longer living together.
We laugh. We say it like it's a joke. That guy got introduced to some culture because of me. After living with me, he went and listened to some Led Zeppelin. He read a whole book about Led Zeppelin. I was like, I think this guy's missing me.
A book about Led Zeppelin.
Got him a little bit into Oasis. He kind of knows the story now.
He dubbed the term Star Warriors.
Star Warrior, exactly. Got into Star Wars. Trent definitely, I think he misses me a little.
If that would have been the most wholesome fucking reality show of all time. Just a camera with you and Trent sharing an apartment.
Honestly, I can confirm it was the most wholesome roommate relationship anyone's ever had.
There was a night where I was in the city at, you know, the old HQ, and like trees down everywhere, so I couldn't get home. And I slept on the couch, and I felt like I don't think I said 3 words to you guys after we got home, and then in the morning before I left. but it was like just like having like picked up the stories on the osmosis of that couch just made me feel so good inside.
Still
like,
my couch.
Juju.
It's a great couch.
That's a beautiful thing.
It's a great couch. Also, the first superhero movie to get an adapted screenplay nomination at the time. The Incredibles was the first superhero movie to get any kind of screenplay nomination, which people don't group in with superhero movies a lot. It's more grouped in with like Pixar movie, but I think it deserves a spot.
I think you got to say The Incredibles is a superhero movie. It's a Pixar movie, obviously, as well, but it's like we're not going to do the Die Hard Christmas movie thing with superheroes and The Incredibles.
It's about superheroes.
And they like hammer home how much it is. They're like, you caught me monologuing.
Yeah,
Like, they're really just hammering it home. So if that's not a superhero movie, then like Spaceballs isn't like a space drama.
Honestly, this might piss some people off. If we're ranking superhero movies, I'd put The Incredibles above Logan. I love The Incredibles.
Right. No, I think you might be right.
For me, like Pixar movies are like The Incredibles and Monsters Inc. If you consider Disney too, I'd put
Moana. You're gonna get canceled for that take, even though it might be right. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things.
Yeah, it's like I would call Logan like a masterpiece. I would say it's a masterpiece. But The Incredibles is like, I think The Incredibles is like one of the most perfect movies ever made.
If you have a problem with Robbie Fox's Incredibles take, and I'm sure you do, even though I agree with you, I'm not gonna like fight you on this. Rewatch The Incredibles and then come back to it because it's a fucking good
incredible.
Movie.
Every character in that movie is so good. Oh yeah, I didn't even mean to do that. That was
Frozone rules.
Frozone's so good. Edna Mode is so good. Syndrome is an all-time villain.
All-time great. Like Syndrome is an elite comic. I'm gonna say he's an elite comic book villain.
And I was going back and forth in my own head watching Logan, trying to debate how I'm gonna say this on the podcast. Do you think for an all-time superhero movie, you need an all-time supervillain? Because this one doesn't really have an all-time villain. It has a good. I think the villain is good, and it's a good crew. But it's more about Logan versus himself.
Yeah, I don't love the villain in Logan.
He's okay, yeah.
The villain in like some like you can make the case Professor X is almost a villain at some points.
Yeah,
right?
you're just fighting to keep him sane.
Yeah, and then the storyline with the children, which I had forgotten about, with the children hospital or whatever you want to call it. I said, "Oh, that's right," and I had like this really awful, terrible feeling in my gut for like 10 minutes afterwards. So it's like it's almost worse. It's almost like the worst supervillain is those doctors and the way what they want to do with those kids. But at the same point, yeah, it's like Syndrome's just fucking cool. He has the outfit. That origin story with him is so cool.
Yep.
So I love it. Plus, I can't unsee it now. It's so fucked. But the internet, when they did all the memes, and now I just see Miss Incredible, and I'm just like, yeah.
Thick with 2 C's. You know what's really funny is the videos of Miss Incredible at Disney World, Disneyland. And she's so tall, but like strutting, you know?
Yeah.
And people are like, we'll post the videos and be like, we're thirst trapping Miss Incredible or whatever. And their top reply every time is like, dude, that person in that suit is 6'4". You're looking at a sassy gay man.
On all the Pixar, I've never realized that either. All the Pixar moms are like that.
They're built like that, right? Like the Inside Out mom, right? Like, yeah. It lost best adapted screenplay to Call Me by Your Name, a movie I didn't really like. Timothy Chalamet, Armie Hammer, cannibal.
Alleged cannibal. Alleged. Say alleged.
Alleged cannibal.
Oh, he might have said he's a cannibal.
He had a quote this week. Did you see his quote this week?
Yeah,
he said, "I don't think it's any different from seeing a baby and being like, oh, I just want to eat you up. You're so cute." That's
Don't you
strange.
put that evil on me.
No.
Hammer.
It was shot mostly in Louisiana, New Mexico, and Mississippi under the working title Juarez. And the score is by Marco Beltrami, who did 3:10 to Yuma and The Wolverine with Mangold.
Okay. The locations, like, there's nothing here that offends me. Like, again, the whole Christmas vacation, nothing there offends me.
I assume Mississippi was for the, like, border stuff at the end when they're like, we got to get over the border and they're in the woods.
Do you have anything in your notes about casting?
No.
I read, and I don't know if this is true, that Millie Bobby Brown tried out for X-23.
Wow, I could see that.
You could see it, right?
Would she be around the same
11.
age? Probably.
I think so.
Because Daphne Keane was on, we just recapped The Acolyte. It's kind of a perfect transition. The Acolyte last week, we're doing Logan this week. I think she's like an adult at this point.
Yep. So I mean, Millie Bobby Brown, the next time we see her, she's going to be so goddamn old, and it's not. I think Stranger Things, they have to jump ahead at some point because the kids have gotten so big.
I think she's getting married like this weekend.
Yeah.
Millie Bobby Brown to John Bon Jovi's son.
Wow. Yeah.
You're getting a lot of random tidbits and facts in this
Will you come to the
Deadpool
base
and Wolverine
before we're just shooting this
podcast.
shit? I might go into Stranger Things around at some point. It's been planted in my brain.
Hey, Sean Levy, Stranger Things director of Deadpool and Wolverine.
There we go.
Everything is connected. The comic inspirations mostly Old Man Logan by Mark Millar and Steve McNiven. And I think he was told pretty early, Mark Millar, like, hey, we're going to use your Logan here. Because I think he did some interviews where he kind of indicated what the movie would be about before most people. One of the craziest things I read, so now to get into some fun facts about the movies, I only have a couple because we'll get into Deadpool and Wolverine. Hugh Jackman would dehydrate himself for 48 hours, essentially cutting weight to do any shirtless scene because he wanted to give himself not only like a cut look, but almost like an older cut look, like an emaciated cut look. Crazy. Like,
That's nuts.
Cutting weight is not healthy. You could do it in a healthy way. You could, have people watching your hydration and whatnot. It's not good for the body. The fact that he was doing this and he did it for the Wolverine as well, it's commitment.
That's why I don't lose weight. It's like, it's not good for the body, so I just keep adding it on instead of cutting it. That's the best way to go.
Maybe it's why he said, hey, put me in a fucking suit for this one.
Exactly. Fuck that. I'm too goddamn old for this shit. Danny Glover style.
A lot of the scenes between Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart, especially during the dinner scene, were improv.
Huh.
James Mangold said, you guys know each other well enough. You guys know each other's characters well enough. Basically, let's just go. Talk about Westchester. They give him bullet points, but he let him run with it.
I had no idea. They did a hell of a good job on that. You forget that Hugh Jackman is just like a good ass actor too.
Oh, yeah.
As well as being a great Wolverine, and he looks like him obviously. So hearing shit like that, like, man, they really crushed it when they cast back in the day.
The Pinecone Girl, the mutant at the end that just like wraps people in pine cones and shit, was actually X-23's stunt double, and James Mangold was so impressed with her, he wrote a part into the movie for her so she could actually like be on screen.
That's awesome.
I thought that was nice. It made me like feel good about James Mangold, who is one of my favorite directors actually. Ford vs. Ferrari, the newest Indiana Jones, which I fell in love with.
I got to see Ford vs. I have to see both of those actually. But Ford vs.
I
Ferrari,
think you would like the new Indy. I could be wrong.
The scars of the old one didn't heal for a lot of people, but I think you're one of the people that had those scars, and the fact that you like it as much as you do tells me like it can.
I didn't want him to make it, which a lot of people didn't want them to make this movie because Logan gave him a perfect ending, and they're like, how do you bring Hugh Jackman back? That was the ending of Logan, where she fucking takes the cross and puts it on the side. Like, my girlfriend doesn't even really care about this stuff, but she was watching it with me, half watching it, and she was like, oh, the X. Like, even it hit for her.
I forgot about that scene.
It's
and
so
then when
good.
I rewatched, I was like, that was fucking good. There's like 5 moments in this where I was like, oh, I forgot about this. That was really fucking good.
That moment and visual is almost so good, I could believe you wrote the movie around it to get to that point.
Yeah.
You were like, that's what you came up with first, and you were like, how do we get there?
And if you were like, because I'm with you, I had forgotten about the backlash when it was revealed that Wolverine was going to be in the new Deadpool, and if like you go on your rants, I'd be like, shut up, come on, like whatever, multiverse could be a million different things. But then you're like, but the X moment, I'd be like, yeah, that was fucking sweet. We might have cheapened that.
But Indiana Jones, James Mangold himself, he has literally changed the way I live my life, because I did not want Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny to get made. I was like, please just treat Indy like James Bond. I know Harrison Ford just wants to be the only one to play him, but cast someone new, show us adventures of him in his prime. It wasn't great seeing like a 60-year-old him in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Who wants to see 80-year-old him in Dial of Destiny? And then as I started seeing trailers and pictures, I was like, maybe I want to see him in Dial of Destiny. And then I saw the movie, and I was like, holy fuck, that was awesome. I've watched it like 4 times since it came out. And I know people are like, what? Like, people didn't even really like that movie that much, but it's just a comfort movie for me now. I love it. So I feel the same way about this. Like, it's changed the way I view things, where someone says, no, he had the perfect ending. And I'm like, I don't know, though, because I think movies that you say why to wind up being the ones that surprise you. That's why you got to start saying why not. Also, at the time, Hugh Jackman said his only 2 regrets about retiring were that he'd never appear in an Avengers movie and that he would never appear in a Deadpool movie. And he said, if I would have known Deadpool was going to be the hit it was, I would have stuck around to do a movie with Ryan Reynolds.
See, I didn't know that until I read that in the Fun Facts the other day, and I said, oh shit, so that makes this entire Deadpool, him being in it, fucking half the goddamn cast of it, technically the movie poster. I'm like, that makes it that much more incredible.
The seeds were there in the first place. Yeah, it wasn't just like they unloaded the dump truck full of money and were like, all right, we'll get you back in a desperate move. It's like this was something he was interested in. Even then, he was like, yeah, like I'd like to do that. And Ryan Reynolds has been trying to make this movie since 2016 was the first time he said, I just want to do a Wolverine movie with Hugh Jackman. Obviously, the first Deadpool movie has that as like a running bit.
Yes,
Hugh Jackman,
it's a great bit.
The Mask. I think they could even bring that back at some point in this.
Imagine like the first 5 minutes you think it's coming and then they just kind of go old Deadpool on you with it.
Like I was thinking Lady Deadpool. There's a lot of talk about Lady Deadpool in the trailer. We could kind of transition into, I mean, we'll continue to talk about Logan a little bit, but everyone's saying, could it be Blake Lively? Could it be Taylor Swift? Could it be Ryan Reynolds CGI'd to look like a lady on the body, but it's his head still? I've seen some people on Reddit suggesting it is that today because they claim that they were able to measure Lady Deadpool, and he's Lady Deadpool's 6'2", Ryan Reynolds' height. That seems a bit like, I don't know if I could buy that you measured.
That's the people who heard the spurs of Boba Fett and like turned.
They were right.
They were right. That's why I'm like, Reddit is either like the greatest ideas, but they never come true, or they just are fucking the sleuths. I think that's where the whole Jerry Colangelo thing with it's a regular sized collar, like, find a new slang.
Yeah.
So,
but I was thinking,
the best, man.
I could see them running back the reveal. Lady Deadpool takes the mask off, and there's a paper Hugh Jackman mask on over it.
Oh,
or something like that. I know that they'll make some Hugh Jackman referencey joke based on the soundtrack, because the soundtrack has The Greatest Show.
Yep.
Which I don't know how that's going to get incorporated, but I'm already excited for it. Soundtrack's great.
Awesome.
It's got Avril Lavigne, I'm With You. It's got Green Day, Time of Your Life, Good Riddance. A lot of pop punk stuff for me. I think it had Iris, Goo Goo Doll, some 90s vibes.
There's a few songs that are like those 80 like love jam ballads that Deadpool fucks with, and you're like, I could hear it in the Deadpool movie already.
Yeah.
This is going to be perfect. And it's like not surprising that Ryan Reynolds would nail that, but it's like, all right, he fucking crushed it.
Do they not get enough credit for how well they use music? Because X can give it to you. I hear that. I think about the first Deadpool movie now. And then the second one, did it do the Footloose thing or the Flashdance thing? Flashdance, right?
Flashdance, yeah, with the bullets and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome.
They use music really well in that, yeah. But overall, Logan, again, I had a really good time watching it. I would actually say this most recent rewatch, I liked it more than my last one, where I was kind of leaving it like, oh, you know what? I liked that, and I liked that. The villain, I like, but again, my favorite superhero movies are the ones with Heath Ledger as the Joker, or Josh Brolin as Thanos, or
the big bad.
The big bads. Tom Hiddleston as Loki in the first Avengers, I think knocks it out of the park. Not having like one big bad in this, I dock it a little bit, I think.
Yep, I think it's fair.
I also think I dock it a little bit for the clone fight, which I feel bad saying because I think it's a good way of doing the Logan is fighting against time, against himself, so why not give literally a younger version of him to fight and to fucking battle? Just part of it makes it like The Dark Knight didn't have any of that hokiness. And maybe it's, I hate to just keep comparing it to that, but I think to get on that next level for me, you almost have to remove some of that.
So you're talking X-24. You didn't like X-24 being kind of so I think X-24 was the best they had, like the best villain that they, I think that's like when I forgot about that as well. And I said, oh, I fucking loved this when I saw it. And it's like young, not as refined. Well, you're seeing pre-Professor X Wolverine basically versus post-Professor X Wolverine, who's washed his shit, but still holds his own. That the X-24 is one of my favorite parts of the movie. Whereas the guy with the hand, that's just what I'm going to call him. Yeah. He's not even, honestly, Claw's better than him, right?
He is. Yeah, Claw's definitely better than him.
He's not even the best guy with like a metal hand in the MCU or whatever you want to call it.
I like Richard E. Grant as like the scientist. That's like the older guy that's with him. I feel like he does a really good job with the villain vibes. He does that in a lot of the things he's in. I go so back and forth.
A lot of Stranger Things vibes with him too, where he's like, the evil doctor.
Like Papa?
Some shit. Yeah, Papa.
Yeah.
Motherfucker Papa.
That guy's going to be alive next season somehow, some way.
I'm getting into the Stranger Things rant is coming. It's just you keep tickling me. I'm going to have to scratch it at some point.
But yeah, I go back and forth. I love the
I hated him. I hated the villain. I did not like the villain. You know what he is? You said like, all right, so at the end of like a level, like a side scroll, like an arcade game or like a Mario level. At some point, you hit like one of Bowser's kids or something like that, right? This guy felt like the dude who like doesn't really do much. He just has to jump on his head 3 times.
Yeah.
He's not even like a end of the arcade game level where you have to keep shooting him and then he starts blinking red when he's almost dead. He's like the dude that's halfway through the level and you're just like, oh, like he was kind of tough, but I just didn't believe enough in him. And like he killed a fucking innocent nurse.
Yeah.
So he gets the heat, but I don't know if there was any way they could have done it better with the way that the script was written, or if they even wanted to do that. It's fine if they didn't, but it's, again, for my taste, I'm with you. I think that is what's maybe missing here. And again, time could be the big villain when it's all said and done. I just didn't like him. I think they could have gone other ways and had people similarly powered. I just didn't like enjoy him on the screen, I guess I should say.
And I go back and forth on the X-24 take because I don't love that he just it became like almost like a me versus me fight or whatever, but I do like the scene where he fucking stabs Professor X in the house and then he just starts walking out of the
Bob?
house.
You like that, huh? You
I like that scene because it's so fucked up and it's so like it feels like a scene that you would see in like another action movie or rated R movie. It doesn't feel like a superhero scene. So I like that, and the fight at the end is kind of cool with them throwing the truck on X-24. But yeah, I don't know. I love the ending. I love the like him all bloodied. The way X-23, amazing child performance.
When those guys go in the house, when like she first goes to the like spot where Logan and Professor X are, and she comes out and rolls the dude's head.
Yeah.
Metal. Confirmed
metal.
Fucking metal.
Adamantium. Tell you what else is metal. Wolverine carrying that bullet around. Just being like, I'm going to use this on myself one day. Like, I don't advocate for that, but kind of fucking adamantium level metal.
It was a good twist, too, because she uses it on his head, which the head just flying off. You're like, holy shit.
Blows up into a million pieces. Yeah, that's awesome. Even her final monologue of, like, putting him to rest. You know, everyone's doing the funeral. So well delivered and just, like, for every criticism we had about the Acolyte's child actors, do the complete opposite for this movie. They really knocked the casting out of the park with that.
Yeah, she's awesome. She really doesn't have to, she does a bunch, actually, I should say, but she doesn't speak a lot, I guess.
That's
that's her whole
maybe
thing.
A crutch or them being able to get around that. But yeah, she does a really good job with that. The mom was pretty good in just the desperation of like this baby, like you need to save her.
And it's your kid. Like they don't dance around it too long. It's like, no, it's your fucking kid, Logan. Look at the thing. And again, as an X-Men guy, as a Wolverine guy, the whole X-24, I enjoyed that because I love the Weapon X stuff and the origin story of Wolverine is so big. And even though this is different, it's still kind of the same. I'll tell you what I didn't like. Caliban.
I was just about to bring Caliban up.
Dude just creeped me out, and
he's creepy.
There are mutants in the X-Men that are made to almost you're supposed to feel bad for them, or they're supposed to creep you out, and it's like, yeah, like of course everyone likes the cool ass superheroes that save the day and look good in spandex, but he's kind of not one of those. But it's just like his character. I'm like and then he starts kind of snitching, but he's not snitching. Yeah. I just didn't love Caliban.
I didn't love him either. And watching this, maybe a weird take, but after X-Men 97, I was like, I wish that character was Morph.
And that's the kind
he
of
looks a little bit like him with the bald head and the gray,
yeah.
right? But like, I saw him and I was like, Morph. I was like, no, Morph's not in this movie. I know that. And then I was like, it'd be kind of sweet if he was though.
He's kind of Morph and Leech had a baby.
Yeah, he's Morph without any of the like funny humor or likability. He's just a freak.
Using the F word?
Sorry.
Use the M word.
Yeah, I didn't use the M word.
I'll tell you what else I didn't like either.
What?
I didn't like that this movie said in 2029, which is only 5 years away.
I know.
When we watched this in the theater, it was still 12 years away. It felt like forever ago, forever. He's driving a 2024 year car in the movie. They say it's a 24
right.
or whatever. And I'm like, fuck, that's right now. Hell, it's probably, are they making the 25s, right? They usually go a year ahead, right? So I'm like, man, that car
movie's in the past.
Exists right now.
Shit, yeah.
Welcome to the...
that feels weird.
Watching Bob get old right in front of us.
That feels weird.
Beautiful. Wait till like the guys are retiring and your favorite. Well, they probably retire in UFC all the time when they're younger than you. But like when football and baseball players, you're like, I'm older than that guy.
Yeah, I'm trying to think like Blade Runner 2049. Like we're gonna snap and it's gonna be 2050. Yeah. We're gonna be like, oh yeah, that futuristic past movie. That's fucked up to think about.
Once Back to the Future, we passed Back to the Future.
Yeah.
For people my generation, it was like, this isn't cool, man.
No. What else on Logan before we move on to Deadpool and Wolverine? Did you have any other notes?
I just couldn't stop saying how much I love gruesome Wolverine movies. I love my favorite the moment that sticks in my head about this movie is when he gives the uppercut with the claws and they go through the bald guy top of his skull.
Oh,
And
yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
Oh, we are getting that Wolverine. And I
Towards the beginning, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I was like, we are going to have this Wolverine in Deadpool. We're about to see it. So I got even more hyped for Deadpool. Being like, we're going to get cursing and we're going to get crazy Deadpool shit. And then we're going to get gruesome Wolverine things. I got very excited about that.
It gets real gruesome at the end, too, when Wolverine gets put through the log. X-24 fucking puts his claw in the shoulder and just boom.
X-24 is a bad motherfucker, man. He is a real bad motherfucker.
Oh, little scene that I like with the kids cutting his beard and they're all giggling and they're just like laughing. He wakes up. He's like, oh, what the fuck? The way they're able to play Wolverine and the kids is like great.
Post X-Men Wolverine with kids is always, I think he has like that softness in him to bring out. And then seeing Grandpa Logan basically getting that, it was very cool. I definitely love to see that. The Professor X hotel scene I thought was awesome.
Really good.
Just fucking freaking out, and Logan's just trying to get there. He's fucking those dudes up one by one.
Yep.
And the guy's like looking at him. He's like, "Oh shit!" and he can't move.
Yeah.
That must be horrifying. Just an absolutely horrifying moment. I talked about how the children's they're like the kids where you have to kill the kids or they're jumping off of buildings. I did not like that at all. And the one thing, this was a very small line that I never noticed until after the rewatch, when they're like, "Logan, you were in Phoenix." I was like, Logan wishes he was in Phoenix.
That's good.
And I was like, did someone write that? Because that's almost too fucking cute. I know it's in the
cutesy.
Southwest, but like that would be good if someone threw that in there. So I appreciated that for sure.
I saw a quote this week that I sent you that blew my mind about Deadpool and Wolverine to kind of transition into the preview for this movie. It's from Kevin Feige, and he said, if Avengers Endgame is a 10 and Infinity War is a 9 in terms of overall looping in Marvel Universe importance, Deadpool and Wolverine is an 8.
That we always talk about like expectations.
Yeah.
I was pretty high for Deadpool and Wolverine, but I'm also like, all right, let's not go crazy. It's not going to be an Endgame. It's not going to, I don't know if it'll even be like the Spider-Man, everyone coming together. But then I was like, when you say that, Feige, and it's Feige saying it, not anyone else.
Yep.
If it's Ryan Reynolds saying that, when Ryan Reynolds says it's like the best movie he's ever starred in, I'm like, Jesus Christ, Ryan. But it's like he has to say that. Feige, even though the trust of the Feige light is not on in the basement, I still believe.
It's
Feige.
flickering.
I believe him. Yeah, exactly. I still I don't think he's a liar. I don't think he's just a promoter. I think he knows when he says shit like this to especially nerds.
Yeah.
They're going to fucking.
I think he said it to comicbook.com. I believe that was the source.
So yeah, you better fucking come correct with that. So now he has raised those expectations to where I'm not going to expect an 8. I'll expect a 7 though on that scale.
I think that's a good place to be.
Yes, and I'm very excited about the movie, as you can tell. So was my fucking guy Robbie.
Very excited. I'm gonna actually show up to the theater in this as well, which already I'm almost regretting doing this podcast. I'm like, this is a little fucking hot.
You're heating up. Yeah,
Little
I wouldn't
hot.
have survived a minute if I found one that fit me. So God bless you for doing it.
It's a little hot. Another thing I thought important about that quote, like you said, it came from Kevin Feige. The last time we got a quote like this was Quantumania. Unfortunately, you heard it's next to Civil War, but that was from some nameless producer. We didn't even know who the guy was.
That's right. We didn't even know
it's like the VP of production or some shit like that. Feige, like you said, knows the importance of his words now.
But the thing is, the last time we saw a movie early at this little special premiere thing was the Quantumania premiere.
Bad vibes.
And we left and we were just like, what the fuck? Now, again, that was without popcorn.
We had no popcorn. We got
popcorn. Yeah. I don't think all the popcorn in the world, unless it was laced with some kind of drug that
could make that better,
different, would have made that movie better. At the same time, though, Feige doesn't fuck that up. That he
can't fuck that up.
To comicbook.com of all
And also, we've heard Sean Levy, however you say his last name, he's gotten offered allegedly everything on the Marvel slate. They told him, hey, if you want to do the next Avengers, it's yours. Hey, if you want to do the next Spider-Man, it's yours. If you want to do the next X-Men, it's yours. So I feel like they have all their faith in this being a great movie. I texted you earlier this week a random thought I had about him. I said he kind of made an Avengers movie already. He kind of made a superhero team-up movie already with Night at the Museum. And that might sound ridiculous, but Night at the Museum is a team-up movie with heroes. You know, it's not superheroes, but they're heroes in a way, and it is kind of super, and there are superpowers. I looked that up on Rotten Tomatoes, too, because I'm like, that was one of my favorite movies when I was little. Horrible ratings.
Really?
Audience and critics. Everyone's wrong about that. It's a great movie. Kids love it.
I gotta rewatch it because I saw it. I was older than you, obviously, but it was like I think we do one Christmas movie together.
Yeah.
Or Thanksgiving. I don't remember when it came out, but we did it, and I remember
Great family movie.
Walked away very happy.
It'll probably make going to any museum. It doesn't have to be like the one they go to in the movie. Make it more exciting for kids. Because I'll tell you what, when I was a kid, I would go and always picture Night at the Museum.
And at least with like an Avengers movie, there's like, oh yeah, well, of course these guys are going to team up or whatever. This guy had to fucking throw together a bunch of historical figures.
Roosevelt and fucking Pocahontas and Lewis and Clark and all that. All right, so now I want to go through a few characters and ask you if you think they're going to be in Deadpool and Wolverine.
Ooh, okay, yes.
Obviously, we know we're going to get some X-Men. Do you think we will get James Marsden as Cyclops?
Yes.
I think so as well, and I think it'd be sweet if we see him in a comic-accurate outfit just like Wolverine is. Like if he's in the blue with the fucking thing across, that would be really cool.
I want him, if we're not going to let him grow balls like they did in the cartoon,
Yeah.
which I appreciated. But like Marsden, didn't he have like a weird response where he's like, I can't really answer that, or like I was on the lot, or I was doing Sonic at the same time.
I think he said something about Sonic, yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like the cat kind of came out of the bag about that. Plus, I'm also going to probably say yes to everything because I'm hoping the answer is yes.
One that I think is a yes is Halle Berry as Storm, because she posted like 2 years ago just a picture with white hair. And everyone's like, well, what's going on there?
I would, if you gunned ahead, I would have said no way she's in this movie.
Really?
So, but I didn't know that. So now,
Which that, I guess it could have been a false flag too, but like years ago, she posted a picture with short white hair. I was like, maybe it's a throwback, maybe it's not. I don't know.
I kind of like that though.
Kelsey Grammer as Beast, I think we will get because we got him at the end of the Marvels.
Infinity%.
Yes.
Gun to my head, I'd say that would be the one that if he's not in it, you can pull the trigger.
Now, Juggernaut is an interesting one because the actor said, no, I didn't want to get in the suit. We've seen a version of Juggernaut in some of the trailers. We don't know which version it is, though, because he's so far in the background and blurry.
I'll tell you which, yes, we're getting Juggernaut. And I'll tell you which Juggernaut we're getting. We're getting the animated one, and we're getting the fucking
the Juggernaut bitch.
I'm the Juggernaut bitch, and it's gonna be the whole. It's gonna be the original voice actor, and the reason I say that is because Ryan Reynolds gets it just like Seth Rogen gets it, and he did the Four Non-Blondes What's Up He-Man version of it.
Yeah.
That's a man that respects a good internet meme, a good internet video, and the fucking my Juggernaut is the Juggernaut bitch. And again, you watch it, there's a few things that are a little that wouldn't have flown in 2024, but it is fucking hilarious every single time.
How about the one that would make me the most excited? Kurt Wagner, Nightcrawler.
Oh, how about this? Not only are you going to be excited, because I'm saying yes, he's going to be in it, and we're going to get a little, he's throwing the blades up.
Oh, maybe 3 blades with the tail?
Yes. And our boy, like Jose says, when he does that, it's like Kurt Angle taking the leotard off. So I'm talking it into existence for you as much as Jose. I want Jose.
That.
He's gonna. He's
I
listening
talked to
the
Jose
podcast,
this week.
breathing deep.
He's got a seat in Manchester. He's going to Manchester for UFC. He bought himself tickets for the opening night in Manchester. It's gonna be Jose and a bunch of Brits.
Dude, again, we've peeled so many layers off Jose over the years, and finding out he's like this diehard X-Men guy.
Yeah.
I'm like, I fucking love you even more than I did the first time we met you. I didn't know that was possible.
How about Brian Cox, Logan Roy as Stryker?
Yes, of course. I mean,
awesome. I'm going to say no to him, but I would love it.
If at this point he has become Logan Roy too, it would really fuck up my brain seeing him because he's kind of playing the same stubborn asshole, just in a different sense, right?
What about Anna Paquin as Rogue?
That's the weird thing. I feel like it's not going to happen.
I don't know, because we talked about it with Days of Future Past. Like, they cast her and then basically cut her out of the movie, other than the ending scene.
The Rogue cut I thought was a joke people were making, and then I read it was actually...
Tell you what is a joke is the Zack Snyder director's cut of Rebel Moon that he put out today. Joke.
Fresh. This is the fresh diss right here?
Fresh diss.
You watched it?
No. I just assumed. Famke Janssen as Jean Grey, Dark Phoenix. I feel like she has to appear, to be honest.
I'm melting into a puddle. I think
She said she won't.
Outfit,
she was one of the people that came out and was like, yeah, they didn't call me.
Good. Yeah, Jean Grey. You could fucking telekinesis my ass.
Yeah.
Telekinesis is moving stuff, right?
I think it's both.
Or which one's the one with the head? I think they both start with T, I believe. Regardless, this is her
Whatever.
playing mind games with us, Jean Grey. Fucking, I dream of being in Phoenix just like Wolverine, hence why I'm wearing this outfit. I need to see you on the big screen again. I love Famke Johnson.
And then the last one I'll ask you about, as far as the old school cast goes, do you think we get Iceman? We're getting Pyro. We know Pyro, and I feel like where Pyro goes, Iceman goes.
Yeah, it's like the rivalry, right? So yeah, I think we're definitely getting him. Bobby Drake. I want more Iceman in the next iterations of the X-Men, and I hope we start with bringing him back. I have another character. Is that all your characters?
Well, I have a character, but he's not part of the old cast, so I was thinking, are we getting Gambit?
Ooh, I could. Are you going to start? Do you think we're going to go with a new Gambit, or you think we're going to go with?
I think if it's
go with a new one,
you
right?
can't go with they had a Gambit in X-Men Origins Wolverine. I don't think you go with him. I think you go, if you do it with Channing Tatum.
Now, do you think
he wanted to play that role forever?
Guy, though? Is that part of the whole contract stuff that people talked about, or is that just for like the OG? I
think it's just
cast?
the OG.
Yeah, I think so too.
Channing has wanted the role forever. He was supposed to play him originally, and then it was one of those things that fell through. I think he has a relationship with Gambit like Ryan Reynolds had with Deadpool before he made this, where it's like his passion.
And I think, I don't know if Channing Tatum and Ryan Reynolds have been in movies together. Those are just two good-looking dudes. I feel like they just one did the solid for the other, called their agents, talk, and was like, we're getting Gambit in this movie.
Yeah.
So I'll say yes just because of that.
I would love that. You had a different character, though?
Yes, I had a different character. Sabertooth.
Well, we have a version of Sabertooth in the trailer already.
That's what I was going to...
It's the X1 version, though.
Okay.
It's not the Liev Schreiber one.
I was going to say, are we getting Liev Schreiber? Because that was another... that was a fun fact I forgot to mention. He was supposed to be...
I saw that as well, in Logan.
And Schreiber was in.
Yeah.
He was locked in.
He was very interested, yeah.
And I understand they said they didn't want it to be all about cameos. I do think 2 or 3 cameos wouldn't have been the worst thing in the world.
Would have been cool.
Where if Sabertooth is about as extreme as it gets, and he's helping Wolverine to say, hey, this shit is so extreme, the mutants are basically being wiped out, that Wolverine and Sabertooth are now on the same side. Because it always is oh shit, when you see the villain and the hero are fighting together, because it's we have a common enemy.
Yeah, and also the way, we didn't go into that during the Logan recap, but the way that the mutants were dying off because of the gluten and the corn syrup and stuff like that, and Wolverine with the metal in his bones poisoning him, kind of fucking metal. Kind of a cool way to put it forward there. The big question on a lot of people's minds about Deadpool and Wolverine, we kind of talked about it earlier, will Taylor Swift make an appearance?
I've heard all the no's. I've heard all the debunking, right?
They're trying to say absolutely not happening. I still kind of feel like it might happen.
It's happening. And when it happens, we broke it 6 months ago.
Way long ago.
We were just talking out of our ass and calling it like Dave called the election in 2016 at 9 o'clock because he wanted to get home. But we called it. We're going to fucking take out those receipts, show everyone. She says dazzle. It's the last word of her album or something.
Yeah.
Go through the dictionary. If you don't think Taylor Swift is going to be in this movie, go open a dictionary, the closest one. I want you to get an actual book, though, not a fucking website. And look how big that thing is. Go through all those words and say, she chose that one word out of all the words in that dictionary. Just a coincidence. 1 in a bazillion? What's the even chances of that?
I talked to Kelly Keegs about it. She said she does love that word, but I think that makes it more likely that she would want to play that character.
Yes, it's tailor-made for her. Get it, Bob?
Nice.
Get it, Bob?
Nice. That was sweet. Another big question. We saw in one of the trailers Deadpool and Wolverine hopping into a portal. And we've discussed this when we talked about the trailer. The thing that I want it to be is Endgame. Either that they're joining the battle or they're fucking off the second they see it. Then, nope, we're not doing that. We're not supporting that. I could see it being something else, though. Some people have said, could it be Age of Ultron? Because we've seen snowy woods in some of the trailer. There were snowy woods in Age of Ultron. I don't know if that's just people are grasping at straws there. But I would like it to be something big, something that we know from the MCU. And it's a sorcerer
Yes, it's
portal.
clearly a sorcerer portal. The Endgame one is so good, and my dumb brain didn't think of it, and I'll almost be mad at the universe for throwing the seed in there before I had.
Yeah.
You know, like it would have been such an unbelievable reveal, but whatever. It's the age we live in. I almost. If it happens, I'm gonna love it. If it doesn't happen, be like, all right, so it didn't get spoiled, so I'll be happy in that sense. And I'm sure. I mean, we're gonna get fan service. That Ryan Reynolds
we're getting fan service.
He's gonna be giving us 2 tugs during this movie.
Some people have sort of said that this is what we thought Multiverse of Madness was going to be in terms of cameos.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah,
that's probably true. By the way, the Multiverse of Madness, like I'm just thinking of some of those fucking, Mr. Fantastic things. There was
want to kill them off real quick. I could see Deadpool killing off like another squad as well. Me and Devlin were saying, what if they had a moment like the Suicide Squad, where they introduce us to like a new team of X-Men recast, and then they just have Deadpool fucking cut all their heads
X-Men.
off.
Yeah.
Like they had the moment in Deadpool 2 with the X-Force jumping out of the plane. Hysterical scene. And is that the Brad Pitt, right? He gets electrocuted. You see it's Brad Pitt, the invisible guy. Oh, will he make a cameo?
I think at this point it's all hands on deck. Ryan Reynolds.
Pitt could. Pitt made a fucking huge role in like the second season of Dave.
Yeah.
Like I think he's just down to do like fun shit.
By the way, I watched Ocean's 11 the other day. It fucks you up. It honestly looks like a de-age version.
How young he is.
He looks so fucking young.
Well, I thought that about Logan. They aged him up, and I was like, oh, Hugh Jackman, like it's going to be 10 years since Logan in 3 years. He's going to get to the age where he could play Old Man Logan again. Almost Palpatine level of like Palpatine in the originals was like a 30, 40-year-old dude. And then the prequels came around. He was like, I have the wrinkles myself now.
Somehow. Wolverine.
So, yeah, I don't know what else we can speculate, predict. We've done a lot of it over the last few months. The countdown has been on. We started our X-Men rewatch when? In January, in December even?
Yeah, it was, I think, before the new year. And
I know we skipped a couple of. We didn't do Deadpool and Deadpool 2, which is kind of funny. But how much is there to break down as much, like, I know there is a lot, but those movies are so comedic that it would just be an hour of us being like, remember when he said the dick and fart joke?
Well, I watched it just on my own a couple months ago, and I was like, oh, yeah, we're just not even doing the recap of that.
Yeah.
But I do think this is going to, what you're getting from Deadpool, it's going to be more of the same, I think, in a good way in this movie. So I think that would have been a little redundant. And again, the characters, I hope we get the characters, I think we're getting most of the Deadpool characters. I don't think we're getting the dude who played the guy in Silicon Valley. I know he had some problems
He's out.
Shit.
He's definitely out. Blind Al we got to get, of course. I think we saw in the trailer, there's at least a scene in the beginning where they're celebrating Deadpool's birthday.
Yes.
And I think most of the Deadpool 2 cast was there.
Is there. I don't know if I've ever said this on the podcast. I think my second favorite Deadpool character behind Deadpool is the agent girlfriend. What is her name?
Oh,
He's like, oh, hi.
Yeah.
I just love that she's just the nicest fucking super fan.
Katsuna. Shiolo Katsuna. Or Yukio. That's her real name.
Yeah.
Katsuna. Yukio.
Oh, hi, Yukio. It makes me fucking crack up every
Negasonic
time.
Teenage Warhead is really good. Good casting. Yes. Colossus is, of course, great in those movies. Always good. The cab driver. What's the name of the cab driver?
The cab driver.
Something with
fantastic.
an R, right?
Dopinder.
Dopinder.
I hope we get a lot of things like, oh, now I could have the real X-Men in this movie,
Yeah.
And he's kind of burning Colossus. There's gonna just be so much just meta.
I mean, fucking Tom from Succession. We have as a TVA agent in this.
I forgot. Yeah.
How much TVA are we getting? Mobius? Mobius?
I don't.
Sorry, not Morbius. Not Morbius.
Yeah. That would be funny if they threw him
Yeah.
in too. We were tagged in a tweet today. I saw it too. I think Dale said they were originally Mephisto was supposed to be.
They contemplated Mephisto.
Feels very Ryan Reynolds.
But
guys,
also,
you gotta do it.
Did you see the quotes about Ryan Reynolds about the original idea he had for this before Marvel bought the studio? He wanted to make it a legitimate indie movie with just a couple $1 million, under $10 million, road trip with Deadpool, just talking about things.
That's awesome. And
I almost feel like, hey, if this movie overperforms, just give him the fucking $10 million to do that.
Yeah. We are so hyped up about this. I could feel the excitement coming out of our eyeballs. It's and I don't think there's a chance it's bad. I don't think there's a chance it's even just good.
I think it's gonna be great
because every single Deadpool has been very good at its worst. I think very good is its floor. I think great is its ceiling. The 8 out of 10 with the Endgame stuff that could really factor into it. But I mean, everything the dude touches with this stuff is awesome, and I honestly do think he could become like a Favreau or a James Gunn.
Yeah.
For not Deadpool, I think X-Men mutant stuff. He should be like, it goes through him and his team.
Yep.
He should be a big part of it moving forward. We'll see what we think after this movie's over. But as of now, we are fucking geeking out for a big time. And again, I would say the Deadpool movies, are they in your top 10 for Marvel movies?
I like the first one better than the second one,
Me
I
too.
think. I wouldn't say top 10, no.
I think Deadpool's in my top
They're probably
10.
right outside it, though. Like, I wouldn't put many above it.
So 15 maybe?
Yeah.
For you? Okay. I'd say it's in my top 10. It's probably, it's definitely the second. I mean, the top 10, you're dealing with the Infinity, you're dealing with the two big Avengers. For me, Guardians 2. And then you're getting into Guardians, Iron Man, you know, the kind of
Caps,
stuff.
yep.
So, and then even some of the X-Men stuff maybe. I'd say Deadpool I like more than the X-Men.
I like some of the X-Men's more than Deadpool. I find some of the X-Men's more rewatchable. There are some jokes watching the first two Deadpool movies back where it's like a little like edgelord, like
Yeah.
where you're like, oh, like watching it over and over again.
That's
it
fair.
loses a
That's
little
a
bit of the
very
humor.
fair point.
And I think the other ones are more rewatchable. But that being said, the first time I saw it, I remember like being in tears laughing.
It's a very different kind of movie then, though. So yeah, I'd say rewatchable. And I'm, you know, now that I'm thinking about it, like First Class and all those, I think those are probably better than Deadpool. So I was a little.
Deadpool, though, the first movie does one of the best jobs ever of making a very grounded stakes story.
Yes.
Of like, yes, at the end it's kind of crazy with the big ship falling and the tube and you know, Monica, whatever her name is in the thing. But at the end of the day, like, it's not the world's ending. It's not Deadpool saving everything.
Yeah.
In this, it is, but it makes sense at this point.
And that's the thing. Stakes are going to be huge in this one.
Yeah.
Multiverse stuff's going to be going on.
75% of the movie is in the void, allegedly.
And that's the thing. Like, we loved Loki, so we're going to be getting Loki stuff. Do you think Loki's going to show up?
Maybe. Thanos Copter.
Do you think? Thanos Copter.
Thanos Copter's in the void.
Do you think?
Throg.
Now, if Loki's in it, I'm gonna tell myself the reason Taylor Swift wasn't in it is because Hiddleston and she was awkward.
Yeah.
Even though it sounds like they had just a fine relationship, and I'm sure the breakup.
Do they
was
make a
okay.
Kang joke?
I would love a Kang joke.
I bet they do.
I would love a Kang.
I bet
joke.
they make a Kang joke.
I hope we. If we get a Kang joke, that tells me where Ryan Reynolds stands. Like, I will then announce that Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, I already am because he follows me on Twitter. Please come in the basement.
For the love of God, we're begging you keep the lights on here.
But speaking of people keeping the lights on, again, if you're listening on the pod feed, we're going to throw it over to my interview with Aaron Stanford from the movie itself. Pyro himself, iconic scene in X2 on the porch. We talk all about it. If you're on the video feeds, I hope you enjoyed the Deadpool and Wolverine podcast, preview podcast. And like Clem mentioned, we are going to have the podcast ready to go for you Thursday night. So as soon as you guys see it premiere night, you know, on the way home, you'll be able to boot up our recap podcast.
Once the Marvel sniper puts the gun away,
Yeah.
that's when they know Bob knows he can hit the publish button.
Yeah, they have the adamantium bullets ready to go for me. All right, we'll see you on the other side.